Allison's Culinary Delights. Today we're going to make one of my favorite meals. Super healthy, super fresh. We're going to make some salmon, and then I'm also going to make a few other things on the side, some cilantro lime rice and some mango salsa, and we're going to put it all together and it's going to be delicious. So stay tuned and we'll get to it. So first things first, we're going to put together a mango salsa because we can just stick that in the fridge and wait for our salmon to be ready. So first for the mango salsa, I've got 2 mangoes that I've chopped up into small little cubes. So I've got some cilantro, I've got some red onions, and then I've got some jalapeños that have also been diced. Last but not least, I've got a lime that I just cut in half, and then we've got some salt that we're just going to put into taste. So the mango salsa is super simple, and you're just going to put in as much as you like, and then just give it a taste. So first things first is I'm going to put the cilantro in and put about a couple of tablespoons of cilantro, and then I've got a tablespoon of the red onions that are diced. You can put in more if you like more, and then about a tablespoon of the jalapeños. Now I like to leave the seeds in my jalapeños because I like it a little spicy, but you can take the seeds out if you like. And then I'm going to squeeze in half of the lime. Super simple. So now you're just going to stir that up. Alright, perfect. So now I'm just going to sprinkle some salt on it, just to give it a little bit extra flavor. Now at this point you can give it a taste to see if it's to your liking or if you need to add any of these other ingredients because you have them already. I'm just going to taste it real quick to see if I need to add anything. That is perfect. Maybe add a little bit more jalapeno, spice it up a little bit. I'm just going to wrap this and put it in the fridge. Super easy, didn't take very long. Longest thing was to cut all my veggies. So I'll put this in the fridge and we'll chill until our salmon is ready. Alright, so for the next ingredient that we're going to make is we're going to make a chipotle lime crema that we're just going to drizzle on top of our salmon when we're done. And this is just like the salsa. You can stick it in your fridge and keep it for a few days or however long your sour cream lasts, really. I make this often, and I even have it like in my recipe binders at home, just so that way if I forget an ingredient, I know what is in it. I suggest a recipe binder for all of you, just because it's so easy, and you don't have to constantly like try to remember your ingredients, or like I have a spreadsheet with my ingredients, and so it's just so much easier. Okay, so for our chipotle crema, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in a cup of sour cream. I often make a double batch of this just because it's nice to store in your fridge and you can use it on anything. I use it on chicken, you can put it on eggs, you can put it on burritos, anything you make, you can put this on and it tastes delicious. So half a cup for just a single batch of sour cream. And then I have 2 tablespoons of chipotles in a double sauce. It's just a can that you can get like in the grocery aisle, in the Hispanic grocery aisle, and I'll just drop that in. You're gonna use the juice that's in that can as well as the actual peppers. And then I can just have half a lime. You can use the same lime that you use for your mango salsa. You're looking for a couple of tablespoons of lime, so if a half a lime doesn't cut it, then you might need another, but this one. Alright, and then the last ingredient is just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I just like to check it to make sure there's not any like huge chunks of that chipotle in here, and make sure everything is incorporated. Looking good. There's a couple chunks, so I'm going to let it blend once more. Alright, so there you have it. We have our freshly made chipotle lime crema. And I always like to put it in a squeeze bottle just because it's easier to drizzle over your salmon. But you can just stick it in a bowl if you want. And I'm just going to store this in the fridge. And now we're actually going to cook. So we're going to cook some cilantro lime rice. And then after we're done with that, then we'll cook our salmon. All right, we're back to it. So now we're working on our cilantro lime rice. So what I have in my pot is a cup of rice. It's long grain rice. You can use basmati or just any regular long grain rice that you have. And then I also added 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to brown our rice. So I'm just going to turn it on medium temp. I'm going to stir my rice to kind of get some of that olive oil all over all the grains of rice. And then I'm going to spread it out on the bottom. Make sure to stir your rice occasionally. You want it to be brown, but you don't want it to burn. And the reason we're doing this is just because it adds a better flavor to the rice. It's kind of something that they do when you make like a rice pilaf or even just like a Mexican rice. You would brown the rice. Okay, so when our rice is browned to the correct doneness, I'm going to get a clove of garlic and I'm going to put it in with our rice. Once our garlic is in there, I'm just going to stir it and just let it cook for about a minute. My next step is, general rule of thumb when cooking rice is you have 1 part rice, 2 parts water. So for this rice, I have 1 cup of rice, so I'm adding 2 cups of water. A teaspoon of salt for flavor. And then since we're making cilantro lime rice, we've got a lime here, and I'm just going to put some of the lime zest in there. We're also going to add lime juice at the end, but I just add some lime zest as well. Stir that up to get all ingredients incorporated, and you're just going to cook it on high until it gets to a rolling boil. Once it gets to a rolling boil, I'm going to lower it. I'm going to lower the temp, and I'm going to put a lid on it, and we're going to cook it for about 20 minutes. Now, the key to making delicious, fluffy, not overcooked rice is to let it sit. So I've stirred it once, I've got it to a rolling boil. I'm not going to stir it again. I'm not going to keep opening it to check on it. I'm just going to leave it in there. I'm just going to let it cook, and it'll be perfect. Now you don't want it to be a rolling boil when you put your lid on it, because it's just going to make the water spill out. So you're just going to wait till it simmers down a little bit, then you can put your lid on. Alright, so my timer just went off for 20 minutes. Now, you might be tempted to take off the lid and get the rest of this going, but don't do that. To have the perfect rice, you're going to have to let this set. So I'm going to turn off my flame, and I'm not going to remove the pot, I'm just going to turn off the flame. I'm going to just leave it here for 5 minutes. I'm just going to let it sit, and then once it sits, we'll fluff it up with the fork and add our last 2 ingredients. Okay, so it's been our 5 minutes, so I'm going to open my lid and I'm going to add our last 2 ingredients. It's cilantro lime rice, so we have some cilantro and we have lime. Okay, so first I'm going to add my cilantro. It's about half a cup. And I'm going to do 1/2 of lime. Alright, so now I'm just going to fluff it up with the fork. I'm just going to fluff it up and stir all that goodness in. And that rice is looking perfect. As you can see, it's not too soft, it's not clumping together, and it looks great. Alright, so now that I've got it all mixed up, I just did a taste test. It tastes great. You can taste it to see if you think it has enough cilantro or enough lime, but that was perfect amount. So I'm just going to stick the lid back on it just because we're going to let this sit while we cook our salmon. Alright, so we've got our final step, and that is our salmon. So here I've got some amazing looking salmon fillets. They don't have any skin on them. You can use the skin on if you'd like. I just don't prefer the skin. So what I'm doing now is I've got my pan, and I've put a couple tablespoons of olive oil in my pan, and we're just going to heat it up. Now, to cook salmon, you'd want to cook it perfectly, because if you don't, then it's either going to be too dry or it's going to be raw, and you don't want that. So What we're going to do is we're going to wait for our pan to heat up. When our pan is hot, we are going to put our salmon down and we're going to cook it for 4 minutes on the one side that we have down. Once that is done cooking, we are going to flip it over and cook it for an additional 3 minutes. That's it. That's all you should need to cook it. Now, if your temperature is different from the temperature I'm using, which I have it on medium high, if it's different, then you can always cook it for a little longer. But what you're looking for on each side is a nice crispy golden brown, while as the inside wants to be nice and glistening. So let's get that going. Okay. Put it down. I like to season both sides of my salmon, so I do a little salt and then some pepper. All right, 4 minutes, so I'm gonna turn them. Look at that, nice and golden brown. All right, so it is looking great. I'm going to take it out of the pan now. And we're going to plate it up. Alright, so now it's just time to plate. So we've got all our ingredients here, and I've got my rice here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my rice on my plate. Oh yeah, that's super fluffy. Okay, and then I'm just going to put a delicious piece of the salmon. Add some salsa on top. Okay, then I just got a few extra ingredients that you don't have to use, but it just brings color to your dish and it's really good. So I've got some avocado slices. And then some red cabbage. And this I just seasoned it with some salt and a little bit of lime. Now for the crema, I'm just going to drizzle it over the top. There you have it, perfect dish. So I'm just gonna cut through this and we're gonna give it a taste. Just cut right through the center. Soup of that salmon. It's flaky. It's glistening. It's looking perfect. All right, so I'm just gonna try it with all the different ingredients. One of my all-time favorite dinners. It's perfect. It's got a lot of ingredients, but they don't take a lot of time to do. And it's just amazing. That rice is perfect. And it's healthy, it's fresh, and you know everything that's gone into this. So I would love for you to try this recipe. All right, everybody, thank you for joining me on this video, Glisten's Culinary Delights. If you want to try this recipe, I will have the recipe down in my description. It's amazing, it's delicious, super fresh, super healthy. Love for you to try it. Please like and subscribe so we can keep making these videos. Also, if you'd like to check that notification bell, you would get any notifications of any future videos. So go ahead and do that now. Thank you so much.